My family hijacked my vacation plans for my golden sister and her kids, but this time I had my own secret escape plan. For 3 years, my carefully planned solo trips had been transformed into family obligations. The cabin in Vermont became a chaotic reunion. The beach house in Maine turned into free childcare. My birthday weekend in the mountains was suddenly about celebrating my sister's promotion. My sister has always been the sun in our family's solar system. The rest of us orbit around her achievements, her needs, her children. I love her, genuinely. But loving someone doesn't mean erasing yourself for them. When I mentioned booking a cottage in coastal Oregon for September, my mother's response was immediate. Perfect timing. Your sister needs a break. She's been so stressed with the twins starting kindergarten. I felt the familiar tightening in my chest. The cottage had 1 bedroom. It was designed for solitude, for morning coffee overlooking the ocean, for reading novels without interruption. Within 48 hours, my mother had called the rental company and upgraded to a 4-bedroom house. She'd added my sister, her husband Terrence, their 5-year-old twins, and herself to the trip. It'll be wonderful, she insisted. Family bonding time. What she meant was, my sister needs support, and your job is to provide it. This pattern started young. My sister struggled with anxiety, so I learned to be invisible. She needed attention, so I needed nothing. By the time we were adults, these roles had calcified into something immovable. But this time, I did something different. I said yes. I agreed to the bigger house. I smiled through the planning texts. I offered to bring groceries. And then, 3 days before departure, I called my friend Olympia. The cottage is still available, she confirmed. 1 bedroom, ocean view, exactly what you wanted. I booked it under my name, the original cottage in a different town 20 miles north of where my family would be staying. The morning we were supposed to leave together, I sent a text to the family group chat. Something came up with work. Can't make the drive today. I'll meet you there tomorrow. The phone call started immediately. My mother's voice was sharp with disappointment. My sister sent a string of passive-aggressive messages about reliability. Terrence, to his credit, said nothing. I turned off my phone and drove north. The cottage was everything I'd imagined. Small, weathered, perched on a cliff overlooking gray-green waves. I unpacked my single suitcase. I made tea. I sat on the porch and listened to the ocean breathe. The guilt arrived at sunset. It settled in my stomach like a stone, familiar and heavy. I disappointed them. I'd chosen myself over family. I'd done the unforgivable thing. But alongside the guilt, something else emerged. Relief, space, the simple pleasure of an evening that belonged entirely to me. I stayed for 4 days. I read 2 novels. I walked the beach at dawn. I ate dinner alone at a small restaurant where the waitress remembered my order by the second night. When I finally drove south to spend 1 day with my family, my mother was cold. My sister barely spoke to me. The twins didn't notice I'd been absent, but something had shifted. Not in them, but in me. I'd drawn a line, imperfectly and messily, but I'd drawn it nonetheless. On the last evening, my sister found me on the deck. She stood beside me, watching the sunset. "You really hurt, Mom," she said. "I know. She planned this whole thing for us to be together." I took a breath. She planned it for you. My trip was already planned. My sister was quiet for a long moment. I waited for anger, for tears, for the familiar guilt trip. "I didn't know you felt that way," she finally said. "You never asked." She nodded slowly. We stood there until the sky darkened, not reconciled exactly, but something like the beginning of understanding. The drive home the next morning, I called Olympia. "How was it?" she asked. "Necessary," I said. "It was necessary." She laughed. "Same time next year?" I smiled at the highway ahead, already looking at cottages.